Hello and welcome back to the English Circle, the podcast. I'm Emily.
And I'm Alex. Today, we're talking about something that can make any professional's stomach clench. You're in a meeting, your colleague says something incorrect. A number is wrong, a fact is off, a deadline is misstated. You know they're wrong, but how do you correct them without looking like a know-it-all or making them feel humiliated?
It's that awful moment when you have to choose between being right and being liked. You stay silent and the error causes problems later. You speak up and everyone goes quiet. Your face gets hot. You feel like the office villain.
Oh, I know this feeling. Last week, my colleague said the client meeting was on Tuesday. I knew it was Wednesday. I corrected her loudly. No, it's Wednesday. The room went silent. She looked embarrassed. I felt terrible. I was right, but I was also a jerk.
Today, we're going to give you the tools to correct someone professionally, respectfully, and without trauma. You'll learn key phrases like, I think there might be a small mix-up. And just to clarify, my understanding is, plus strategies to save face for everyone.
Because being right isn't enough. You have to be right and kind. Let's learn to correct with class.
Alex, let's start with why this is so hard. What goes through your mind when you realize someone is wrong?
Fear. They'll think I'm arrogant. They'll get defensive. I'll create tension. Also doubt. What if I'm actually wrong? And sometimes, just silence. I see nothing to keep the peace.
Exactly. We've been taught that correcting someone is rude, that it's better to stay quiet. But here's the truth. A professional, respectful correction prevents bigger problems later. A wrong number on a report, a missed deadline, a miscommunication with a client, those cost more than a moment of awkwardness.
So it's not about being right. It's about protecting the work.
Yes, and the more you panic, the harsher your correction sounds. So the key is to stay calm and use a gentle framework. When you need to correct someone, use the correct framework. It's a step-by-step plan to fix errors without fixing blame.
Correct. I need this.
C. Check your intention. Are you correcting to help or to be right? O. Open with a softener. Acknowledge their contribution first. R. Restate what they said. Show you heard them. R. Reference the correct information. Gently offer the correction. E. Explain briefly why it matters. Connect to the goal. C. Close with collaboration. Does that match your understanding? T. Thank them for the discussion. End warm. This is like a diffuser for tense moments. The gentlest way to correct someone? Blame the mix-up, not the person. Examples? I think there might be a small mix-up with the date. My calendar shows Wednesday. Could you double-check? I could be wrong, but I thought the deadline was Friday. Let me confirm. There might be a misunderstanding about the budget. I have the number as 50,000. Why this works? You're not saying you're wrong. You're saying, let's check together. It's a team effort. Another powerful phrase, state your understanding as your perspective, not as a fact. Give me examples. Just to clarify, my understanding is that the client wants the report by Tuesday. Is that right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we agreed on the Smith contract, not the Jones one. I might have missed something, but I thought the meeting was at 2 p.m. Has it changed? Why this works? It invites collaboration. You're not attacking, you're checking. When you disagree with an opinion, not a fact, use I see it differently.
Example?
I see that point. I see it a little differently based on the data from last quarter. That's an interesting perspective. My experience has been a bit different. I appreciate your view. Here's how I'm looking at it. Why this works? It's respectful disagreement. You're not saying they're wrong. You're offering another lens. Let's look at reactions that make things worse. Mistake 1. Blunt contradiction. That's wrong. It's Wednesday. I thought it was Wednesday. Let me double check. Mistake 2. Public humiliation. Correcting loudly in front of everyone. If possible, correct privately or gently in the group. Mistake 3. Using you statements. You made a mistake on the budget. I think the budget number might need a second look. Mistake 4. Over-explaining why they're wrong. A 5-minute lecture on their error. Brief correction, then move on. Mistake 5. Gloating. I told you so. Glad we caught that. Thanks for working through it with me. The you statements are so tempting, but so destructive. Let's practice. Your colleague says, the client presentation is on Thursday.
Using the framework. Thanks for raising that. Just to clarify, my calendar shows Wednesday. Could we both double check? I want to make sure I'm not missing something.
Perfect. You're not attacking, you're checking together. Now, a written error. You see a mistake in a shared document.
Hey, thanks for putting this together. I noticed the budget number on page 2. I think it might be 50,000 instead of 40,000. Could you take a look when you have a moment?
Gentle, private, collaborative. No drama. Now, a matter of opinion. Your boss says, we should cut the marketing budget.
Yikes.
Use the respectful disagreement phrase. Alex, I see your point about saving money. I see it a little differently, though. Based on last quarter's data, marketing drove 40% of new leads. Could we look at cutting something else instead? You're not saying you're wrong. You're offering data and a different view. One of the most important rules, correct in private whenever possible.
What if it's in a meeting?
If it's urgent, correct gently in the moment. If it can wait, say, let me follow up with you after the meeting on that point.
That saves them embarrassment.
Yes. Public correction is for safety issues or major errors. Everything else can wait. Alex, we focused on giving corrections, but receiving them is just as important.
I'm terrible at that. I get defensive.
Here's how to receive a correction like a pro. Phrases to use when you're wrong. Oh, thank you for catching that. You're right. Good catch. I appreciate you pointing that out. I missed that. Thanks for the correction. What not to say? I knew that. Well, technically, silence and shame?
Thank you for catching that is so simple. I need to use that.
Sometimes you can correct someone without them even knowing they were wrong.
How?
Use the let me confirm method. Example, they say the deadline is Friday. You know it's Wednesday. Instead of correcting, I thought it was Wednesday. I'll confirm with the client and let everyone know. Later, just confirmed with the client. The deadline is Wednesday. Thanks for your patience. Why this works? You fixed the error without anyone losing face. In a group setting, use we instead of you.
Example?
We might have the wrong date here. Let's check. It looks like we misstated the budget. Let me correct that. Why this works? You're sharing the responsibility. No one feels singled out. Let's recap the CORR correct framework. C, check your intention. Help, not humiliate. O, open with a softener. R, restate what they said. R, reference the correct information. E, explain briefly why it matters. C, close with collaboration. T, thank them for the discussion. Key phrases, I think there might be a small mix-up. Just to clarify, my understanding is, I see it a little differently. Thank you for catching that.
And your correction challenge is this. The next time you need to correct someone, use one of these gentle phrases. Notice how they respond. You might be surprised how much easier the conversation becomes.
Alex, what's your go-to correction phrase now?
Just to clarify, my understanding is it's soft, collaborative, and gives them room to agree.
Perfect. Listeners, now it's your turn. In the comments, share a time you corrected someone, or were corrected, and how it went. What would you do differently now? Let's learn from each other. If this episode helps you correct with kindness, share it with a colleague who could use it.
Subscribe to the English Circle the podcast for more episodes that help you handle difficult conversations with confidence. Remember, you can be right and still be kind.
Speak with courage, and we'll see you next time.